The barrel was already glowing when the next wave hit. In the black jungle heat of Guadalcanal, the air felt thick enough to chew, and every breath tasted like wet earth, sweat, and cordite. It was the night of 24th October, 1942, near the Guadalcanal River, and the Marines on the line could hear movement long before they could see it. Boots sliding through mud, branches snapping softly, the low murmur of men trying not to make noise.
If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content.
Then the darkness broke open. Tracers streaked through palm shadows like angry fireflies, and the sound of machine gun fire became a single ripping scream that drowned out everything else. A gun crew on a coral ridge hammered the trigger, trying to keep the enemy back. But the weapon was dying. The machine gun was overheating, and the next jam could mean the line collapses. You can almost feel the panic spreading through a fighting position when a machine gun starts to choke. On Guadalcanal, there were no clean second chances. The island was a trap of razor grass, swampy ground, and sudden ridgelines that turned into killing zones. The Marines of the 1st Marine Division had been holding the perimeter around Henderson Field for weeks, exhausted and half-starved, living on thin rations and stubbornness. The Japanese had tried to smash the airfield again and again. Every night felt like a test of nerves, and now, this night was different. This night was heavy. It had the feeling of a full-scale push, the kind that comes with officers waving men forward, with artillery walking closer, with bayonets fixed, and no plan except to break the Americans by sheer force. Behind the gun, Sergeant John Basilone of the U.S. At Marine Corps, a stocky machine gun section leader, crouched low as rounds cut through the leaves above him. Basilone wasn't loud. He didn't need to be. His job was to keep his guns alive, keep his Marines alive, and keep the line from folding. He was with Company C, 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, and his section was carrying the kind of responsibility that breaks men. If their guns stopped, everyone behind them would be exposed. In the fighting around Lunga Ridge, the jungle gave attackers places to crawl and hide until they were close enough to throw grenades. You didn't get warning. You got a flash, a blast, and then screams. The machine gun, most likely a Browning M 1917 water-cooled .30 caliber, was powerful and steady when it worked, but nothing on Guadalcanal stayed clean for long. Mud fouled everything. Rain came in sheets, and sweat soaked belts of ammunition and turned them gritty. A gun that ran perfectly on a range could jam in the jungle for no reason that made sense. And when the barrel started overheating, the gun's rhythm changed. The firing sounded strained, uneven. A pause, another burst, then the worst sound, metal struggling, a bolt not cycling right. That's when the enemy senses it. A machine gun that slows down is an invitation. Japanese infantry pressed forward in tight groups, disciplined, aggressive, moving like shadows between the trees. Some carried light machine guns. Others held rifles with bayonets that caught faint moonlight. And behind them, mortars dropped rounds with a soft whomp that you felt more than heard. Dirt and fragments sprayed into Marine positions. The gun crew worked with shaking hands, feeding ammunition, and trying to keep the weapon breathing. But the pressure was relentless. The water canteen, meant for cooling, was running low. The spare parts were limited. And in that cramped, muddy fighting hole, there was no room to back up, only forward. Basilone moved across the line like a man who didn't understand fear the same way everyone else did. He checked fields of fire, shifted men, pushed extra ammunition where it was needed, and then did the hardest thing in combat. He left cover and went into the open when staying still would have been safer. He ran through darkness, lit by muzzle flashes, bent low, stumbling over roots, catching himself and keeping his balance by instinct. Every few steps, bullets snapped past. The jungle itself seemed to crack as rounds hit bark and punched holes through leaves. Somewhere nearby, a Marine yelled for a corpsman. Somewhere else, a grenade popped with a sharp, tearing blast. The machine gun jammed again. The gunner fought it, yanking the charging handle, trying to clear the belt. His hands were slick with sweat and oil. Basilone dropped beside him, shoulders tight, eyes locked on the gun like it was a wounded animal. In these moments, training becomes religion. Keep the feed cover clean. Check the belt. Clear the chamber. Don't waste time panicking. Basilone didn't waste a second. He got the gun back to life and immediately shifted his attention to the bigger problem. The gun was overheating, and the enemy wasn't slowing down. If that weapon failed completely, the Japanese could pour through the gap and roll up the positions like paper. When ammunition ran low, Basilone didn't wait for someone else to fix it. He went for it himself. He moved through fire to drag more belts forward, hauling them with brute strength, slipping in mud, the weight cutting into his arms. You can almost feel the burn in his shoulders as he pulled box after box, breath short and sharp, lungs full of humid air and smoke. Each run was a gamble. Each trip out of the hole was a chance to be hit. But Basilone understood something simple. A machine gun isn't just a weapon. It's time. It buys you seconds. It buys you space. It buys you survival. All night, the fight surged and fell like waves. Japanese assaults hit, got shredded, regrouped, and hit again. Marines fired until their barrels smoked and their rifles were too hot to touch. The machine gun kept pounding, but every burst was a strain. The barrel heat built up. The mechanism fought friction. The crew's hands blistered. Basilone kept moving, kept forcing the gun back into action, keeping the position stitched together with fire. And in the darkness, those bursts were more than bullets. They were signals to every Marine nearby that the line was still holding, that the perimeter wasn't broken, that Henderson Field was still breathing. At times, the enemy got terrifyingly close. Close enough that you didn't just hear them, you felt them. Whispered orders, boots in wet grass, a sudden rush. Basilone's section fired point blank in places where the jungle narrowed into natural lanes. The gun hammered, stopped, hammered again. Basilone adjusted the fire, shifted the tripod, changed angles, kept the weapon aimed where it could do the most damage. He wasn't guessing. He was reading the battlefield like a map written in sound. Where the firing grew louder, he reinforced it. Where it faded, he pushed men and ammunition to keep it alive. By dawn, the ground in front of the position was torn up and littered with broken gear and fallen attackers. The jungle steamed as the sun rose, making the whole island feel like it was boiling. Marines blinked against the light, faces smeared with dirt and sweat, eyes red from smoke and exhaustion. They had held. The perimeter around Henderson Field had survived another major assault. And that mattered more than anyone could fully understand in the moment, because Guadalcanal wasn't just a brutal fight in the jungle. It was the first time the Allies had seized the initiative in the Pacific and refused to let go. And John Basilone would later be awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions during the Battle for Henderson Field in October 1942, for keeping his machine gun section fighting through overwhelming attacks when everything was breaking down. But on that night, none of that existed yet. No ceremony, no spotlight, just a Marine in the mud, forcing a machine gun to stay alive while the island tried to swallow everyone whole. He wasn't fighting for history books. He was fighting for the man beside him, for the line behind him, and for an airfield that could not be allowed to fall. And that's the part people miss when they hear the words machine gun overheated. Overheat doesn't mean it politely stops. It means it threatens to die at the exact moment you need it most. It means the sound of fire goes quiet, and the darkness starts moving toward you faster. On Guadalcanal, silence was danger. Basilone refused to let the gun fall silent. He kept it alive with sweat, strength, and nerve, turning a failing weapon into a wall of fire. In the choking heat of that jungle night, one man's stubborn refusal to quit helped stop an army from breaking through. And somewhere in the distance, Henderson Field stayed in American hands because one machine gun kept speaking when it was ready to burn out.
If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more content.